What's up, people? It's Mr. Nim, and I rate things from godlike to god-awful. Monsters are things. The more you know. Monsters in video games have been inseparable since God knows when. Some of the earliest video games had monsters, and it's been a theme ever since in video games. Some games, though, have better monsters than others. This is understandable, as some games prefer focus elsewhere, like on the main character versus their monsters, which are supposed to be fodder enemies. However, I believe that to make a truly magnificent game, you need truly magnificent and malevolent monsters. Now, what games have the best? What games got it the most right? Well, we're here to find out. I'm about to rank the top 10 monsters in video games. A couple of quick rules. First of all, this list is not horror game centric because monsters are not horror game centric either. There is a fright factor basis, but it's part of a bigger scale of what makes an effective monster. Another rule is one game per franchise, because otherwise this game would pretty much be populated with a few games. Finally, this is an opinion list. It's my top 10 monsters in video games. Mine. The beards. So, if your monster isn't on here, if your favorite monster isn't on here, don't get some twisted in your knickers. Now, without further ado, to number 10! Skyrim. The well-known and well-loved game since its release in 2011. It was hard choosing which monster in this game held the biggest place in my heart. Dragons are okay, but don't really inspire fear. Vampires, which were my second choice, are cool, but not necessarily as iconic in Skyrim as they are in the regular world. And so, to make it work with the best monster I could find, I cheated a little. That's why it's so low on the list. The monsters I selected are Skyrim's variety of Daedric princes. Basically, Skyrim's equivalent to demons, the princes are prone to screwing with humanity on a regular basis. Her scene gave the gift of lycanthropy to humanity. Great gift, guy. Great job. A+. Molag Bal is a powerful Daedra who would like nothing more than to enslave the people in his wake. And then there's this guy.
Oh! A death threat written on the back of an Argonian concubine! Ah! Those are my favorites.
We'll get to you later. The best part about the princes is that up until they reveal who they are and what's going on, their presence is shrouded in mystery. Meridia's quest begins through the illogical decision to talk to a statue. That's the most benevolent of the quests. For her scene, you're given a ring with a mysterious power. That power being possibly turned into a werewolf at any time. Oh, and also, you can't take it off. Then you have to hunt down a ghost stag, who's actually her scene, and then fight a werewolf or a whole bunch of hunters with the help of said werewolf. I think we all know which way to go. Molag Bal, the inspiration for putting the princess on the list, is the creepiest of the bunch. You go into a house with a member of the Vigilance and try to find out what's fuckled about it. And then... voices happen.
Weak. He's weak. You're strong. Crush him.
You kill the Vigilant, and the voices start talking to you in earnest, giving you the rest of the quest. Oh yeah, and then there's this guy.
Argonian concubine! Ah!
He's not creepy, but he is definitely a good monster. He fits with the genre named Gruntilda effect, the effect in which a monster constantly follows you around within his own quest. He's a mischievous bastard since he is the Prince of Madness, and leads you on a weird little series of events through his realm. Now, I suppose you could use weapons that you have on you, but come on, there's only one weapon for the job.
Web attack!
All in all, maybe not 100% like other monsters, but 100% able to be on this list. To number 9! This one was a wild card in the rankings, but I decided it needed to be here. I'm a huge strategy fan and only recently picked up the Banner Saga, which is definitely one of the most beautiful games I've ever played graphically. And the main villains of the game are absolutely some of the most brutal monsters ever on the battlefield. To start off, they're called the Dredge. That name even sounds horrifying, if not a bit disgusting. Sounds kind of like, you know, just disgusting slugs and crap and... But the look of them can only be described in one word. Intimidating. I'm sorry, 2 words. Fucking intimidating! These things are destructive and powerful. Seeing them come into play for the first time after fighting humans and maybe a Varl here or there is damn near terrifying. With far more health than your average enemy, which in reality makes things more balanced, they appear to be nearly too powerful to take on. Every dredge fallen on the battlefield is a huge victory, and it only gets to be more so as the numbers increase against you. Brains must prevail over brawn if you want any chance of beating these monsters. Else you get too cocky and get too dead.
Hey peeps, this is Mr. Nim here. Hi.
So, this is the night before this video is due, and, so, as of tonight, 2 of my entries are going to be impossible to do in one night. And I would say that I could put it off, but I can't because this is for a class. And I did put the effort in. I looked hard to find the footage because I don't have time to actually record tonight. I was going to find some footage and use that. So instead, I'm just going to say that this is now a top 8, and that the 2 that were there, just for the record, were synths from Fallout 4 and psychos from Borderlands. And there are reasons, they're in my script, and maybe one day I'll be able to fully realize this, but for now, just letting you know.
To number 6!
The Legend of Zelda. Such a quaint game, filled with so many iconic monsters. But hey, you're Link. You got the power over them. What can they do to you, right? Even Redeads, considered one of the more frightening monsters in the game, have no power over you once you get the right equipment. So, how can something frightening and effective truly present itself? The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. It's long considered the best game in the franchise, and I can see why. It has the most compelling and effective main villain of all the games. Sure, Ganon's cool and all, but Skull Kid, now there's someone who can make you quiver in your boots. All you need for reference to that is the first few scenes of the game. The opening sequence leading to the title screen shows you the quaint working day of Clocktown, everyone going about their day. Then, the music slows, night approaches, and we see him, Skull Kid, looking up at the freaky-ass fucking moon. Holy shit, what? In essence, this is the perfect framing device for him. He's the center of everything messed up in the game, even the moon slowly crashing into the earth. So he is the first thing you see when everything around starts getting messed up, and he's the first enemy type thing you see in the game. He and his fairies come for the sole purpose of taking your stuff, and then you see something that could normally diffuse a situation like this. The kid is your size, your height, waddles around. However, the way I see it, his childlike nature combined with the great power he's been bestowed by the mask makes him all the more frightening. He doesn't know what to do with the power he has, he just knows he can have anything he wants with it. He's essentially a god. Oh, also he does this to Link.
To number 5!
Picture this. You're a commander of an elite force of soldiers who you send out to battle little gray men and Slenderman ripoffs with the face of Hugo Weaving. One day you get a massive distress signal and you send your finest 6 troops to check it out. Everything seems unusually calm. Until... Fuck! What the fuck is that? Yeah, the chrysalids from XCOM Enemy Unknown are the scariest and most aggravating monsters in the entire game. The thing about these monsters is, alone, they're not very frightening. Sure, they look like that. Fucking purple praying mantises with just death written all over their faces. But a few well-placed shots, and it's dead. The frightening thing is, they travel in massive packs. One mission in which you have to destroy its ship took me days to do because of the massive amounts of spawning chrysalids. They were fucking everywhere. It really created a sense of fear and worry and what am I going to do and how am I going to get out. Not to mention the fact that this guy can actually make zombies out of innocent bystanders and your own soldiers when they die. Having to kill soldiers you raised from the ground up, watching them kill your own men, it's absolutely devastating. That's part of what makes the chrysalid one of the most intimidating, most effective, and best monsters in video games.
To number 4!
This one is almost a bit of a cheatsy-weetsy, but also very much isn't. If you haven't heard of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, pause the video, open Google, and look this shit up right now, or let me just tell you, because that's why you clicked on the video. The game, based on the short story of the same name by Harlan Ellison, follows a massive AI called the Allied Master Computer, or AM. Though, if you ask AM, that's not at all why he's called that.
Not just Allied Master Computer, but am. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
He's called that because he gains sentience and plans on wiping out human life. First, by wiping out Earth with atomic bombs, then by making his way to the moon where the other master computers are. That's right, folks. We're dealing with a post-apocalyptic story about rogue AI. This is my definition of orgasmic. What makes Am a great monster in his own right is the fact that it's impossible to see him, but no matter where you are, you know he's there. It's his world, and you can see and feel the effects everywhere. His punishments are severe, his plans terrifying, and he pulls it off while sounding any number of ways, from intimidating to forgiving to downright friendly. Honestly, the voice actor for Am is the best one in the game, the one who fully understands his character the most, which makes absolute sense knowing that he's voiced by none other than Harlan Ellison himself. Yeah, that's right, Harlan actually voices his own main villain, and in doing so, made him one of the best monsters in video games.
To number 3!
I won't let this list be entirely devoid of horror games. No, instead we're going back to the land of Five Nights at Freddy's. The animatronics from the first 4 games were alright. The problem is that they weren't really all that scary. Not after the first experience. Sure, a screaming thing in your face will get you once, but the more you hear it, the less it's actually frightening and more simply annoying. Surprisingly enough, just filling a game with jump scares doesn't make it actually scary. What do you know? But that's where Sister Location comes in. The design isn't horribly scary. Much like the first one, the look is reliant on the actual jump scare in order to feel scary. However, Sister Location does a much better job making you feel frightened. Not only does it do that through its mechanics, not only does it do it through its own atmosphere full of isolation and movement. Oh my god, movement in a Five Nights at Freddy's game! Whoa! But through its absolute nailing of how to make the animatronics terrifying. It's not them encroaching on your space anymore. You're encroaching on theirs. And because of that, their patterns change. Ballora wanders around the ballroom trying to find the person with her. Foxy lays in wait for a chance to strike when he sees you moving. Circus Baby tries to grab you out of your own hiding spot in her own room. They want you out, or they want you dead. And that makes a simple jump scare vest something so much more.
To number 2!
One of 2 games I knew from the start were definitely making it onto this list. BioShock is one of the most impressive game franchises ever. While not technically classifiable as a horror game, the game uses so many horror elements that it can make you jump just thinking about it. The quiet ambiance, the violent splicers coming from nowhere, the dark corridors giving nothing and no one away. But most importantly, it uses the Big Daddy as a means to scare the living fuck out of you. With a name like Big Daddy, you wouldn't necessarily expect fear. And even the look could be considered a bit hokey, if not entirely badass. But stepping into the game, seeing your first Big Daddy, that's a goddamn experience. The first time you see one is far before you'll encounter them next. Which is good, because when it comes, you're still not sure what to expect. And then, when you're hunting one down, in search of the item the little sister has on her, you hear them.
It won't be easy, but it's the only way to get to little sister and the item they carry.
Holy shit, that's freaky. The worst is, you always hear it before you see it. And if you see it before it sees you, you're fine. If not, you will die. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. These giants come at you like a rhinoceros with their drill and will destroy you before you can fire off a single shot. Beating one takes precision, skill, and lots of ammunition. These monsters are some of the most effective monsters in video games and possibly ever conceived. But there's just one that's a bit better.
To number 1!
I couldn't not put Undertale on the list. I mean, come on. The list is about monsters. The underground is entirely populated by monsters. It's a gimme. Not to mention that this one is one of my absolute favorite games I've ever played. If I didn't include it, I'd be kicking myself. The trouble was, who do I pick? I knew it was between 3 of them, all who acted very much the same in the game. However, after deciding Asgore was too much of a softie, and Undyne's battle was there too early to have the same effect that this guy had, I knew what I had to do. I had to pick a flower. Flowey the Flower is the goddamn epitome of final bossitude. He exemplifies everything that Gruntilda taught us about final bosses. We should see them, there to taunt us, and we shouldn't be able to get our hands on them. That way, when we finally do, it's super freaking satisfying. This little yellow flower may not seem like much, but he's a big talker. Flowey purposefully fucks with you at every possible point. His speeches are awesome when you put a voice to them, either in your head or out loud, like I did in this playthrough that's never gonna get finished, sorry guys. It makes them that much worse. Oh, and remember the thing I said a couple of seconds ago about finally getting your hands on the little bastard? Well, good freaking luck. Because this isn't even his final form. Oh, fuck, God, Jesus, damn piece of shit, acid tree, fuck me in the ass back, fuck! That same principle actually makes the final choice a moral battle within yourself. You have to decide whether to let this little thing that terrorized your world live in hopes that it could turn out good, showing you've learned from your journey, or to kill the flower brutally so that it can never hurt anyone like he hurt you again. It truly makes the true ending even more powerful. And that, my friends, is what makes Flowey the best damn monster in video game history. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking through the video, and leave a like, subscribe, comment as always. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out and a thank you to Cynthia Miller, the teacher who inspired this. It was really my final for her class, making monsters, and it has been, while one of the most stressful, also one of the most fun experiences of my life, being able to make a list, now knowing what really makes an effective monster. and make it effectively to show off my knowledge and my opinions on what makes an effective monster. So thanks to her, and thank everyone for watching, and I will see you and all of you on the next episode of whatever I make. But until then, Saya!